Well, good morning. We've reached the middle of September. Schools are back in session, footballs are flying through the air, and it looks like the hot weather is behind us. This should be a good week to check in with Northern Michigan University to see how the new year is going. We'll start that conversation right now.
From TV6, this is The Ryan Report. Here's your host, Don Ryan.
Well, Fritz Erickson was named NMU's 15th president just 5 years ago, but he's already made a very positive impact on the school as it works to position itself to be successful at a time when college enrollments are declining throughout the Midwest. A native of Kalamazoo, he has a variety of career experiences, including working as an elementary and middle school teacher, and prior to coming here, he served as provost and vice president for academic affairs at Ferris State University. President Erickson, welcome back to the Ryan Report.
Always good to be here, Don. Thanks for having me.
Another school year is underway. How's it going?
It is. It's an amazing how fast it gets underway and how quickly everybody just falls right into the normal routine. So you would think it's middle semester and we're off, and so it's really going well.
And of course, living in your neighborhood, I kind of know when they're there and when they aren't.
I often quip that the only bad thing when the students come back is we don't get quite as good at parking.
Right. And when you say the students come back, how did it turn out this year? How are the enrollment numbers looking?
Looking exceptionally well. This is the first time in 8 years that we've been up overall. For me, the great thing is 2 years ago we were up almost 11% with our freshmen. Last year almost 10%. And we were really able to hold those numbers. So to be up 18% in 2 years is really a great thing, to get an overall increase of 1.8%.
And we'll talk more about that enrollment issue too. I know you've also put a lot of emphasis on retaining the students you get.
Absolutely. A big part of our enrollment increase was the retention issues that have happened. And we're very excited to see the number of students staying at the university, staying in the community.
Over the last several years, you've had several building projects going, but you have one that's just kind of coming to fruition now, and that's the new Northern Center, which people used to know as the University Center. Tell us about what it's all about.
Well, we decided that the Northern Center is really the front door to the campus. So many people come to our campus, and their first interaction with us is really at what we now call the Northern Center. And so we also knew that we needed the kind of ballroom space for our students for some of the big events. We were in the position of turning away students who had won leadership awards because we just didn't have a big enough room to do it in. Well, we do now.
You do now. Now, before, I think you could probably handle maybe 400 or 500. You can handle twice that many now.
Yeah, we can do. We're depending on seating, 1,200, 1,300. We can fit in the rooms. 4 beautiful ballrooms. It's a world-class facility.
And I haven't seen the rest of the job. I know it's finishing up now, hopefully.
We are on the home stretch, and very much looking forward to the rest of the building open. I've been through it, and it's as beautiful throughout the rest of the building as the ballrooms are.
And I know you feel the Northern Center is more than just for Northern, but it can also serve the community as well.
Well, that's a big part of what we did, is that we think this is really a community asset. We're a high wedding destination. We did a lot of weddings this summer, and brides and grooms were all very happy with that kind of facility. We're seeing a lot of community events take place in there. It's the right kind of facility that we need in our community.
And this week you have some big Northern events coming up, starting on Thursday with a birthday party.
So we're doing a great big ice cream social out on the lawn of the Northern Center, and we really wish everybody would come out and see us and get some ice cream and enjoy in the celebration and interact with our students and our faculty and our staff. It'll be a good time.
And I see at some point they're going to be singing happy birthday to Wildcat Willie.
That's what I understand, although I'm not sure I'm allowed to sing.
Okay, and this is, it's in the evening, I believe, 6 to 8?
Yeah, 6 to 8.
6 to 8, okay. And then, this is Northern's birthday, and I was looking back when the school opened, it started with 32 students and 6 faculty members.
Isn't that remarkable?
So it's come a long way.
That
it really didn't become a university until 1963.
That's correct.
Yep. The other big event, another big event coming up is the gala on Saturday.
Yes.
Tell us about that one.
Well, we thought we ought to really do something special with the kickoff at the Northern Center and do something that was really committed to helping our students. And so we've launched our first really full-scale gala at the university. We're very excited. The ballrooms will be all decked out in green and gold and people all dressed up. We're going to have a great time. And all the funds support the Flexible Aid Fund, which is a really important fund for students because what it provides is the opportunity, you know, if a student breaks their glasses or they need a ride home or all of the incidental things that can make the difference between a student being successful and not being successful, that we have that kind of flexible fund.
Okay. And so that's on Saturday evening?
Saturday evening.
And a lot of people will be there, I think.
Yes,
it's
going to be packed.
You have another event. You're celebrating the 50th anniversary of nursing.
We are. 50th and this year is the 50th anniversary of nursing and the 50th anniversary of women's athletics at Northern.
Okay.
And so we're really celebrating both of those.
And I think this, I saw it was also Florence Nightingale's 200th birthday.
Oh, now that I didn't know.
Well, I got that off your website, just so you know. I wasn't making it up.
That one went past me.
And I know nursing is a big program at Northern, isn't it?
It's an amazing program. Very difficult to get into. Those kids work very hard in that program. But the quality of nurses that we produce out of Northern are truly second to none. Okay. It's truly an amazing program.
And I know that's a limited seating affair, so people might want to check it out.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I have some more questions for you. We'll get to them in just a couple of minutes.
Great.
Back with more on today's show after we take this break. Our guest this morning is Northern Michigan University President Fritz Erickson. You and I have talked before about the challenges that not just Northern faces, but all the schools face.
Yes.
And we had a guest, thanks to Northern, Nathan Gra, a young professor from another campus, who has written a book called Demographics and the Demand for Higher Education. And I know Northern brought him to town to speak to your faculty and students. And I'm guessing you didn't learn anything new, but it may have put the focus really on what the issue, on how serious the issue is.
Well, I think what Nathan did is help reinforce several things that we did know. I mean, we know the demographic challenges that we face, not only in Michigan, but throughout the upper Midwest. I mean, the fact that our enrollment went up this year when high school graduates for this year went down almost 2%. Right. We know next year the high school graduations will be down 3%. So we know of the challenges. What Nathan did is really help bring a number of those pieces into focus on how you begin to deal with that.
And I think he also shows this is not an aberration. This is a long-term
No, this is a long-term trend.
You know, I'm not looking for names, but who are going to be the winners and who are going to be the losers in this?
You know, I think...
And there have to be some losers.
Yeah, I think those institutions that, one, embrace the communities that they serve, two, understand who they are, their identity and their role in higher education, are going to be those that are going to survive and thrive. And I think Northern is positioned perfectly because we have an amazing community that supports us. I talk all the time to parents and students coming up for visits, and they talk repeatedly how welcome they feel, not only at the university, but at the community. And that relationship is something very special that we have. I think how we design and develop new academic programs with an eye towards supporting the community. I often get asked why we started a truck driving program, and the answer has always been pretty simple. It's because our community needs that. And so the fact that we are flexible, that we are innovative, that we are always looking forward puts us in I think a very enviable position.
And we do take advantage of the fact that we live in a pretty special place.
Well, it is. You see our marketing material, we talk about what an extraordinary opportunity that students have being in a place like this.
Let's talk about some of the things you've done. I know You've created some new living spaces, which are important to students.
We did. The new residence halls have been even more successful than we could have imagined. The students really enjoy living there. It's created a real sense of community built on what we've had in the past. That living, learning environment and what happens in those residence halls is vital. We put student success centers in classrooms and the kinds of amenities that promote a connection that we think is really important. So the residence halls are critical.
It's really not just a place to sleep, is it? It's much
No,
more than that.
it's not. If you walk into the lodge any evening, you'll see students packed in there, talking, visiting, studying, sleeping on a sofa, eating pizza. It's as if they were home in their own family rooms or living rooms.
And I know over the years too, recent years, you've invested in living and learning spaces, starting, I suppose, with Jamrich Hall.
Yeah, Jamrich Hall has been widely recognized, outstanding academic space, space of real connection. Such attention was paid to creating space for students to gather and for faculty to gather with students, and that's made a big difference. It's not just a hallway filled with classrooms. The coffee shop is in there. The fact that there are these great comfortable seating areas and people hang out there helps create that positive learning environment.
And I know you've just invested, I think, $2 million in the chemistry lab.
We did. We started the first medicinal plant chemistry program in the country. Truly an amazing program. As difficult and demanding and rigorous a program as you can find anywhere. It's been so successful that we needed to invest millions of dollars in equipment and space to be able to provide that world-class learning experience.
I think you were able to get a grant or something.
We did. Our friends from Shimatsu were wonderful partners with us and provided us with a great grant that really helped elevate the quality of what we were doing.
Okay. We'll talk some more about what you're doing to meet the future in just a couple of minutes. Back with more on today's show after we take one more break. Again, we're talking with NMU President Fritz Erickson. Before we leave buildings and things, I know you're also doing things with the Jacob Eddy Center.
We are. We're very excited to have support from the state, and we're getting ready to work through all the processes of completely renovating the Jacob Eddy complex and making sure we're doing the kind of career and technical education that is very forward thinking. I mean, the stuff that we're doing right now already with virtual reality and welding. I mean, we have students that are hanging off skyscrapers virtually, all designed in-house too, by the way. It's just a remarkable thing to see.
And you've said with this career education and academic degrees, it's really not a we and they situation,
That's right.
is it?
That's right. It really isn't. I think we make a mistake to think it's a 4-year degree or a career and technical degree. I think the place that most people will ultimately need to be at is to be able to do both. Those people that have that cross-sectional skill set are those people that are going to have the greatest opportunities in front of them. And so I'm a big fan of our construction management program and the work that they do around communication and how that impacts their careers. And I'm a big fan of our liberal arts and sciences where students are able to pick up a career technical focus to that, whether it be electronics or welding or automotive, or you can cover the whole gamut.
One of the challenges you faced this year was starting the year without knowing how much the state was going to pay
Yeah, that's
you.
always, I feel like a riverboat gambler sometimes when we think about how do we set a budget that maintains our affordability, because maintaining affordability is a critical issue for us, and manage and figure out what's going to happen with the state. And so we've worked through that, and hopefully the state will come through and we'll continue to be able to move forward in a positive way.
And I know that you believe that one of the things our society has to deal with is the cost of education and student debt.
It is. I think if I were to categorize the real threats to higher education, I would say student debt is right at the top of that list, because it's an unsustainable model. Kids coming out with 30, 40, 50 $1,000 in debt really impacts their ability to start a life, to have a family, to buy a home, to get a car, to do all the things that really helps all of us. And so we're really talking about developing some innovative approaches about how to deal with the cost and with student debt.
We could spend a lot of time on
Yeah.
that, and I know there are a lot of statistics that show the state support has dwindled over the years,
has.
and it's become more on the student.
It has, but you know, for me, the issue is there's no sense in complaining about it.
Right.
You know, the sense is, what are we going to do about it?
I want to talk about, because we only have a couple of minutes left, or a few minutes, SRA,
Yes.
which is really a strategic resource allocation. And
yeah.
it's not a cost-cutting program, is it?
No, it was never about cutting costs. It was about reallocating, and to say, you know, if you're going to spend $10 here, is that the best place to spend it, or should you spend it over here? And so the best part of the SRA has been the level of innovation that's come out of so many of our academic programs, our athletic programs, our facilities. So many different things have gone on. It's really been the vehicle by which we've really pressed innovation. And I couldn't have been happier about how that's progressing, and it will continue forward. We have a lot of work to do with it, and I think you'll see very exciting things
This
come
is
through
really
that.
kind of what are we doing and why are we doing it? And could we do
Absolutely.
something better? And
Absolutely, and how do we make the kinds of strategic investments that make sense for our university, for the community, and most importantly for the students going forward?
I know, and I think in your convocation you mentioned the possibility of a rural healthcare institute.
Yes, our provost has really taken on the mantra and the leadership role of looking very carefully at how we can support rural health, because there are a lot of challenges with rural health. And just like, you know, we looked and decided, you know, we could help a lot with rural broadband, and that our whole educational access network has been wildly successful. We can do the same thing, I think, with rural health. We can be an important contributor to that whole issue.
And the educational access network is going well?
Oh, it is. Well, near 5,000 enrollees. We're adding 288 people a month to the program.
Okay.
We're expanding like mad. We're over 84 cities and communities in the UP. We'll cross 100 before November, and then the sky's the limit.
We have less than a minute. It appears that there's a declining interest in teaching, and that's kind of how Northern started.
Yeah, and this is a real passion for me, because that's how I began my
Right.
career, and I think teaching is the noblest of professions. But I would say this, Joe Lubig and our education program have turned that corner. The number of students that are recruiting and coming into education now, we've turned the corner and we're building it back up. Okay. And I'm very excited to see that, not just in the numbers, but the quality of the people that are going into our education program. They're doing the right thing. They're supporting third grade reading. They're developing the kinds of STEM skills needed to be able to carry on into the schools. And so I'm extremely proud of the work that our teacher education program is doing.
As usual, I've run out of time before I ran out of questions. Thanks for coming in this morning.
My pleasure.
I'll have some other thoughts for you in just a couple of minutes. So today I thought it might be interesting to spend a few moments talking about palindromes. For those not familiar with the term, a palindrome is a word, a number, a phrase, or some other sequence of characters which reads the same frontwards or backwards. I should mention you might want to get a paper and pencil to take notes as we explore this subject today. A couple of simple examples of palindromes are the word madam, spelled M-A-D-A-M, or the phrase nurses run. In both cases, whether you spell them frontwards or backwards, they turn out the same. I should point out that when looking for palindromes, they don't take punctuation marks or capital letters into consideration. Now, why did I decide today would be a good day to explore this subject? Because today's date is a palindrome. Written numerically, 9-15-19 is the same frontwards or backwards. I'm thinking at this point you're probably really wishing you had that pencil and paper, But this issue of dates is even more fascinating because it's not just today. Actually, every day from September 10 through September 19 is a palindrome. September 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, when written numerically, are all the same frontwards and backwards. I don't know how often you get 10 consecutive dates that are palindromes, but it must be pretty unique. I hadn't given much thought to palindromes before this matter of the dates piqued my interest, so I took to the internet to see what else I could find. What I discovered is that palindromes can be an interesting subject, and what is especially fascinating is the amount of time some individuals must spend looking for naturally occurring palindromes or creating their own. You know, the examples range from the very simple, like the word race car, to phrases like never, odd, or even. Or how about the stranger phrase, Mr. Owl ate my metal worm? I don't think the phrase, Mr. Owl ate my metal worm, comes up in conversations very often, but it's unique. And I should mention the word Mr. is in the abbreviated MR period form. You can check them all out after we go off the air. So because today's show was basically about education, I thought we could add a lesson on palindromes. It certainly won't get you a better job or live a better life, but feel free to use it to fascinate your friends. I'll be back in a minute. Time for us to wrap it up for another week. I do want to remind you that if you want to watch the show again, or many of our past episodes, you can find them at uppermichigansource.com. Check it out. Thanks to President Fritz Erickson for joining us this morning to provide an update on recent developments and some celebrations planned at NMU. And thank you for tuning in. Hope to see you again next Sunday morning.